This morning, I had an interesting discussion with members of the U.S.-China Business Council about the situation in Hong Kong. I started by explaining a bit about how the current level of anxiety among the Hong Kong public has built up, that's expressing itself in these demonstrations and generally in Hong Kong. And there are three common explanations of this. The very great economic disparity in Hong Kong, difficulty of economic circumstances for the working class, a lot of cultural friction between Hong Kongers and mainlanders, which has been building up over the years as they've come into more contact with one another, and that's also kind of a natural phenomenon. But overlaying all of that is a sense that the mainland was increasingly not honoring all of its commitments to the one country, two systems framework. There was the establishment of the special administrative region of Hong Kong. So that buildup of frustration was activated by the controversy over the extradition bill that was proposed last spring and has resulted now in a cycle, sort of self-reinforcing cycle of discontent. I also discussed a bit about the prospects for the next few months and into the next year, and explained to the council members that there's a lot of reasons to think that unrest will continue in some form and to some degree for some time. The protesters are locked into their current approach. The government has not really shown willingness to directly address the concerns of the population or the protest movement. Both pro-establishment and democracy politicians haven't really found a role yet in addressing this and in meeting with one another, addressing concerns. And overlying everything is that Beijing has not yet made the decision to figure out some way to help the Hong Kong people feel more confident about the future. I'm hopeful that will happen at some point, but we haven't seen it yet. So overall, a situation of a certain degree of unrest and instability, discomfort for the international community in Hong Kong, but in that context, still Hong Kong continuing to be a very successful and good place to do business, with a certain degree of disruption and risk that's now been added to the equation. I think the foreign companies in that context need to be thinking carefully both about how to navigate the politics of all of this, both internationally and domestically within Hong Kong, focus on their core operations, and make plans for both short-term operational adjustments that might be necessary because of the environment there, and thoughts about the future and ways that they can invest in Hong Kong most skillfully and thoughtfully going forward. The last thing that I discussed with the group was the element of U.S. policy in all this, and I recently wrote a piece in Foreign Affairs that people are welcome to look at that advocated that the U.S. government really think about, in its response to the situation in Hong Kong, think about ways that reinforce the good parts of the one country, two systems framework and the unique success story of having a highly international city inside China, and rather than only identify what's going wrong and react to that in an automatic fashion, rather than thinking about what's best over the long term. So that was our discussion today, and it was very good, and I'm always happy to work with the U.S.-China Business Council. It's a great organization.